You know, we hear the phrase public trust thrown around a lot, but what does it really mean? And more importantly, what happens when that trust gets shattered? Today, we're diving deep into the legal ideas of malfeasance. That's doing something you're not supposed to, something flat out illegal. And misfeasance, which is doing your job but in a completely wrong or improper way. These concepts are the bedrock of how we hold our officials accountable, so let's get into it. This is really the whole ballgame, isn't it? It's the central question. What do you do when the very people who have sworn an oath to protect the law are the ones who turn around and break it? It feels like a paradox, but thankfully, the law itself has some powerful, though pretty complex, answers. And we're going to start right at the top of the food chain with the judiciary. When you talk about responsibility, it doesn't get much heavier than this. And the consequences when a judge gets it wrong, well, they can be absolutely devastating for everyone involved. I want you to picture this. Think of a judge as the captain of a massive ship. Their whole job is to steer this vessel, the legal case, through these incredibly choppy, unpredictable waters of facts, evidence, and legal arguments, with the one goal of reaching the shores of justice safely. It's a role that demands incredible skill, rock-solid integrity, and just an unwavering sense of direction. Okay, but what happens if that ship ends up smashed against the rocks? This is where the law gets really specific, and it makes a critical distinction. Did the captain see an iceberg dead ahead and deliberately steer the ship right into it? Or did they just mess up, maybe fall asleep at the helm? That difference between a malicious act and a negligent mistake is absolutely everything. And this brings us to this super important legal idea called mens rea. It's Latin, and it literally means guilty mind. This is the secret key that unlocks why two actions that look almost identical on the surface can have completely different punishments. It's not just about what an official did. It's about what was going on in their head when they did it, their intent. And this slide just lays it out perfectly. On one side, you have the malicious judge. This is someone who knowingly, with full awareness, hands down an unjust ruling. That's our captain who purposefully steers into the iceberg. On the other side, you've got the negligent judge. The judgment is still obviously wrong, but it happened because of inexcusable negligence or ignorance. This is the captain who fell asleep at the wheel. The shipwreck might look the same, but the law cares deeply about how it happened. And here, wow, here's where you see just how differently the law treats them. For that judge who acted with intent, the malicious one, we're talking up to 12 years in prison and being permanently, absolutely banned from ever holding public office again. But for the negligent judge, the sentence is just a few months and the disqualification is only temporary. The message here is crystal clear. Your intent, your mindset, it matters a lot. And this whole idea doesn't just apply to the big final verdict. Throughout a case, judges make tons of smaller decisions called interlocutory orders. You can think of them as the little course corrections the captain makes along the journey. And as you can see here, the same standard applies. If a judge knowingly makes an unjust order, they could face jail time and suspension. But if it was just through negligence, suspension only. It shows that every single decision, big or small, carries weight. So up to this point, we've really been focused on wrongful actions, on doing the wrong thing. But what about doing nothing at all? See, it's not always about the quality of the decision. Sometimes the crime is in the deliberate refusal to make a decision, purposefully grinding the wheels of justice to a halt. Under Article 207, we find this thing called malicious delay. And let's be super clear, this isn't about a judge who's just swamped with cases. This is about a judge who intentionally and willfully drags their feet for no good reason. It is a purposeful obstruction of justice. And the harm is huge, right? Because it leaves people's lives hanging in the balance, denying them timely justice and slowly eating away at the public's faith that the system can actually deliver. All right, now we have to pivot. We're going to talk about what is quite possibly the most corrosive, the most toxic form of misconduct out there. It's something that doesn't just damage public trust, it can completely vaporize it. We're talking about bribery. Honestly, the best way to wrap your head around bribery is to think of it like a poisoned well. It's not just about the one person who takes a drink and gets sick. No, the poison seeps down into the groundwater, contaminating everything and everyone around it. Once bribery gets a foothold in public service, it corrupts the entire system and obliterates the trust of every single person who depends on that system to be impartial and fair. So what does a bribe actually look like in the eyes of the law? Well, Article 210 breaks direct bribery down into 3 distinct flavors. First, you got the most obvious one, taking a gift to do something that's already a crime. Easy enough. Second, and this one's a little more subtle, is taking a gift to do something you were supposed to do anyway as part of your job. You're doing the right thing, sure, but for the absolute worst reason. And third, there's taking a gift to just look the other way, to not do something your duty requires. All three are poison. But I know what you might be thinking. Okay, but what if no one asked for a favor? What if it was just a gift? Well, the law is way ahead of you. That's where Article 211, indirect bribery, comes in. And this is a big one. The crime here is simply accepting a gift that was given to you because of the office you hold. No favor has to be exchanged, no promise needs to be made. The simple act of accepting the gift is itself the crime because it creates the appearance that you could be bought. And that appearance alone is enough to destroy public trust. Now, there is one type of bribery that the law considers so unbelievably serious, so damaging to the fabric of society, that it gets the most extreme punishment possible. It's called qualified bribery. This is specifically when a law enforcement officer takes a bribe to not arrest or prosecute someone who committed a crime punishable by life in prison. This is the ultimate betrayal of duty, and the punishment fits the crime. The officer faces the same penalty as the criminal they let walk free, life in prison. So yeah, we've focused a lot on judges, and for good reason. But this legal framework for accountability, it doesn't stop at the courtroom door. The net is cast much, much wider than that. And that's because judges are not the only ones holding the keys to the kingdom. You've got prosecutors, you've got law enforcement, you even have private attorneys. They are all gatekeepers of our justice system, and the law demands that every single one of them be held to the absolute highest standard. Take a look at Article 208. This one is aimed right at public officers and police who are supposed to be prosecuting crimes. If they maliciously, and there's that word again, it's all about intent. If they maliciously choose not to go after someone, or if they just tolerate crime happening right under their noses, they are committing a crime themselves. And the result? The whole system breaks down. And believe it or not, this web of accountability even stretches to private attorneys through Article 209. The entire relationship between a lawyer and their client is built on a foundation of absolute trust. This law makes it a crime to betray that trust, whether it's by malicious actions, sheer negligence, spilling secrets, or, get this, switching sides and defending the other party. It's a recognition that even private lawyers serve a public function as officers of the court. And to bring this whole thing full circle, the law is smart. It doesn't just punish the person who takes the bribe. Article 212 makes sure that the person who offers the bribe is held just as accountable. It takes two to poison the well, right? And the penalty for the person offering the bribe, it actually mirrors the penalty for the official who takes it. It is a two-way street of accountability. So, okay, when you step back and you look at all these different articles, all these different rules, what do you really have? What you have is a really complex, detailed system that's designed to be the essential guardrails for public institutions. The core principle behind all of this is actually really simple, but it is so incredibly powerful. Public office is a public trust. These laws, they are the ultimate safeguard for that trust. We've seen the whole spectrum, right? From a simple negligent mistake by a judge, all the way to a law officer's corrupt inaction. Every single rule, every single penalty is another guardrail built to keep our institutions on the right track, serving us, the public. And that leaves us with one final, and I think one really crucial question to chew on. We've talked about all these laws, all these guardrails that are in place to keep officials in line. But if those are the rules for them, what's our role? How do we, as a society, make sure that those guardrails are strong and that they never, ever fail?